Welcome to the Sports Lounge, number 130. Travis Kriens here, Indiana's own. Nathan Stacken up in the great Northwest, Seattle, Washington. How are you?
Just great. Just got back from the fish market. It was awesome.
Expensive as hell, but it's fresh fish. So
totally worth it. Totally worth it.
Sure. Fourth major of the year just wrapped up about a half hour ago. Jason Day. I think he's my favorite golfer. I'll go that far. Whenever I do a pick 'em of sorts, I usually try to pick him. No pick 'em here this week. But if there was, I may have picked Jason Day, and he wins his first major. 20 under, best under par score ever. 20 under in a major, very, very good. Spieth, hell of an effort. 17 under, one of the greatest major seasons of anybody. 2 wins, a runner-up, and a top 5. It doesn't get a whole hell of a lot better than that. Jason Day, runner-up a few times, top 5, top 10 many a times. Came awfully close to winning a major or 2. Crying on the 18th. He wanted this a whole hell of a lot. As you could tell on the 18th hole in the British Open last month.
Yep.
I look at Spieth, very good, number 1 golfer in the world. I'll take him over McIlroy right now. McIlroy seems to be a little up and down. Spieth seems to be a little more consistent. But I like Jason Day to be kind of a third guy there. Kind of win a couple more majors, be number 3.
I'm with you 110% on this. This guy is so much fun to watch. The way he carries himself is just tremendous. He's a great ambassador for golf. And, I mean, I think a lot of people – they fell in love more with him during the U.S. Open when he was suffering through that vertigo issue that he had. And then, of course, you referenced the raw emotion that he showed, missing that putt on 18th at the British Open. But for him to win, it's just phenomenal. In my blog, The Stack, I picked Jason Day to win. I said this is the time that he breaks through. And, I thought Spieth would be right up there in contention, get a top 5 finish. So I really didn't go out that much on a limb there, but nothing that I've seen from Day surprises me. He just is one hell of a golfer, and I think this is really good for golf because you are going to see him and McIlroy and Spieth go at it. And what would be even better is if Dustin Johnson would be able to stay up there with them. But this was absolutely great. Congrats to Day.
20 under. He shot 5 under on the final day. That was very good. Not a whole lot of guys shot better than that. Brooks Koepka, he shot 6 under. He finished 5th. But, 68, 67, 66, 67. So Jason Day wins his first major. Dustin Johnson, good first day. Good today. He had, a 8 on the opening hole. If he only pars that, let's say he pars that, he would have shot a 65 today and would have been all alone in 3rd place. But Dustin Johnson, I think, now supplants Jason Day as that guy, the best not to win a major. And played well on the weekend, but wasn't enough.
I'm curious, though, because I saw that they posed a question on Twitter. I think TNT did on Friday, and they said, who is the best golfer not to win a major? And I was a little surprised to see that Sergio's name wasn't on that list. He has been around forever. He's not broken through it. He's kind of fallen off the back burner or fallen to the back burner a little bit in a lot of people's minds, I think, with all this great young talent and this youth resurgence that we're seeing. But I was surprised that his name's not up there. And I knew once Dustin Johnson had a 6 under lead at the end of the first day, he wasn't going to win it. When has he even proven that he can keep a lead going into the weekend?
Yeah, it's not good
to be first to do that. So that really doesn't surprise me that he kind of fell off pace.
His big alpha-round came on Friday. He shot a 73. Was over par on Friday instead of. I'm glad he got it out of the system before the weekend,
right.
So we didn't have to suffer more heartbreak like that. And reading your blog Wednesday night / Thursday says you say your pick was Jason Day, and there it is. Your pick was Jason Day. So you've been criticized in the past for picking after things have been started or after the first round, but this was before anybody was on the course. So you get a pick here. Good for you.
Thank you.
Yes.
I do. I do want to mention, though, I don't know if I like seeing a score of 20 under win it unless you completely obliterate the field.
And there's a lot of, there's a lot of guys that are 10, 15 under par. Two guys 15 under besides
Do you
him.
like that? Because oftentimes we see during like the U.S. Open, everyone's struggling with it. And I don't necessarily like to see that, like a 1 over or 2 over winning a major championship. But 20 under, to me, kind of cheapens it unless you completely obliterate the field. When you have all these guys that are at 15, 16, 17 under, shouldn't the PGA Championship be a little more difficult, a little more challenging?
Wind is right on Lake Michigan there. Wind picked up a little bit today. Conditions were pretty good. They complained a lot about the U.S. Open and those conditions, and the British Open obviously had bad conditions. But you know what? If you want to get one of the majors score really low, I'm fine with that. You've got your U.S. Open where a couple shots under par, 3, 4 under par sometimes is good enough. Masters, you're right around 10, 12 under sometimes. And the British Open is you can get pretty low in the British Open as well. But Day, the only guy to go in the 60s all 4 rounds. And like I said, 68, 67, 66, 67. So everybody else had that one round right around par, and he was well under par.
And I could be going way out of left field, and I'm sure not everyone, I'm in the minority here when I say this. I kind of would just like to have it maybe be a little bit more difficult. Now, granted, the winds could change at any time right along there. It does play a very link style like game like you would see in the British Open. It's just when you have all those guys up there, it makes me wonder just truly how challenging of a course it really is for these guys. To the average golfer, it's of course a daunting task. I just would have liked to maybe see these guys be challenged a little bit more. Not saying that they weren't.
I'd say John Daly said, I've had enough of this.
That was a great moment. Absolutely phenomenal. Do you think that kid gave him his iron back?
Hell no. If I'm that kid, I'm taking that iron out to the range. Look at this. I got an old washed-up golfer's little stick here. Look what I got.
Get that signed by Daly. You should go up to the clubhouse and say, hey, Daly, sign this for me.
I bet he would.
Absolutely.
I bet he would. He really doesn't care. And he got the greatest of all time, of course, 4 over. Missed the cut by 2. So he was nowhere near not doing anything of note. So I thought I saw 16 guys, I think, made the cut in all 4 majors there. And
Spieth would not be one of them.
He would not be. He didn't make the cut in 3 of them at least. Spieth was 54 over. I believe that was a new record. 54 under make that for the 4 rounds or the 4 tournaments, the 4 majors.
That's just astonishing. And you referenced it earlier too. He had one of the greatest years ever in the majors. Of course, Tiger, winning he won 3 in there. I'm sure we could go back to
Ben Hogan in the 50s won 3 in a row. Did not win the PGA.
Did Nicklaus or Palmer ever put together a stretch even close to like that during their prime, their heyday? I don't think so. Nicklaus
has the most majors. He's also got a bunch of just a boatload of top 5s, top 10s there where he was really close. I think he lost in a playoff a couple times too. But Spieth, new number 1 in the world. Like I said, I'm on his late to the. I'll take him over McIlroy, I guess, even though McIlroy's got 2 more majors on him. Spieth, just consistency with him is why. He was there. He was there last year. He was there this year. And I don't think he'll be kicking the soccer ball around and tearing up his ankle like the other guy. So I like that idea.
And he was 1 shot away from getting into that playoff in the British Open. And then if that happened, I'd certainly put the money on him that he would have won that one over Zach Johnson.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, missed this cut. So.
No good for Zach Johnson, yeah. Spieth did really good. I mean, this is the one tournament where you got a bunch of guys, your average golf fan, a bunch of no-name guys that nobody's ever heard of. So I enjoyed the name of Arniban Lahiri from the Middle East and Asia area. So I was a big fan of that name, and hopefully he's a guy that can stay.
Wasn't there a Moonshine Jung or something like that?
A Moonshine Jung, you say?
It wasn't Shine, but there's the Moonshine June or something like that. I'm trying to see if I can find his player card here. That's quite the name.
There's a guy called Sang Moon Bae.
Oh, maybe that's who I'm thinking of. Forgive me. You know me. I've screwed up so many names on this show. It doesn't even matter.
Well, at least the moon part was right, so that helped trying to find it there. So, yeah, a lot of guys that haven't really heard of a whole hell of a lot. But, yeah, moving forward here, I think we got there was a bit of a gap there between and we're trying to find that next guy, and I think we found our guys now. So, the big debate between you and Mr. Kirk, golf and stars. Well, we got our stars now. So we got to win some majors here. You got to win multiples. And we know who the guys are. They weren't there last year, a couple of years ago. They're here now. So. And
to give Schottenkirk credit, though, he had mentioned a young guy like Jordan Spieth. This was last year. I think he mentioned a guy like Jason Day in years past. So he was well aware of what was going on. But I think for a lot of people now that you see these budding stars there and they're winning consistently and being right up there, especially Jordan Spieth, he's going to be the next dominant one. He'll do things that Rory can't, just mainly because he's an American, and that's where you can draw a lot more interest if you have a guy truly that you're rooting for. Not saying that McIlroy won't do anything, because he's gonna win his fair share of majors the remainder of his career, but I think Spieth is definitely now the mantle or holding that star for golf for the next 20 years or so.
And some may say he's boring, but he does show some personality out there, show some emotion. So that's good to see from a guy. If he hits a bad shot, you'll know. If it's a good shot, he'll pump the fist, show some of that. So it's good to see. Now we hang up golf for another 8 months with the majors. Of course, you got the big playoffs coming up, all that shit. So.
Oh yeah, we aren't gonna have a major golf playoff breakdown. I can't believe this.
No. I think it's just not sticking. Just isn't sticking. Not quite. Moving to the baseball. Washington Nationals.
They suck.
The date is August 16th. They've won 58 games. They've lost 59. They've lost 6 in a row. They've lost 8 of 10. They just got swept in a 4-game series by San Francisco. This team, as of 2 weeks ago, leading their division, now 4+ or 4.5 back in the Mets, and 8-9 games back in that wild card. So obviously they got to win that division, which is still a possibility. But I like to say baseball's a long season. You got 45 games left. It's no longer a short season. You got to get going here. Would you like to put the fork in the Nationals, 4.5 back of the Mets?
Boy, I'm really close on doing it. I mean, they're fortunate that the Mets got swept at home by the Pirates this weekend to not lose any more ground. I don't know what's going on with this team. I mean, Bryce Harper he said some stuff before that makes you kind of question, like, where is where is this team mentally? They have not shown me anything to give me reason to believe that they can come back and win this division, but I'm not gonna put a fork in them quite yet. They have a lot of stars on that team. I think as it gets closer, for the Mets, they have a lot of young arms there. There could be some more pressure on them as the season kind of winds down towards an end in that playoff chase. So I'm not going to put a fork in the Nationals yet, but I'm really close because this team has been, without question, the biggest disappointment in baseball this year.
The big thing with them was that pitching staff, and people saw that at the beginning of the year, and they're like, 100 wins, my God. Strasburg, and you had Scherzer, and Zimmerman and Gio Gonzalez. If he's your fourth starter, that's really good. And you have all these guys, and Bryce Harper at a likely the MVP, but there's a Paul Goldschmidt, basically the same record. Stats not quite as good, but Paul Goldschmidt's a pretty good number 2 for Arizona. Harper second half not as good as his first half, but it's hard to stay on that sort of a pace.
Right.
And Scherzer has just gotten the hell beat out of him here this month. You're likely Cy Young winner a month or 2 ago. Now he's probably not going to win that because he's just gotten killed lately, this week included. Matt Williams, I know Mr. Amon does not like Matt Williams at all. I'm sure he would be fine with him saying, get the hell out of here. Manager of the year. I don't know what if this is a manager's fault. How much blame do you put on a guy when the players just don't perform?
At the end of the day, it's the players, like you said, the players are underperforming. He's not out there. He's not swinging the bat. He's not looking at like pitches that go right down the middle for strike 3. He's not making, he's not throwing the ball right where the opposing batters can knock him out of the park. He's not doing any of that. Now, if he makes some questionable managerial decisions in terms of getting a guy out of the bullpen or something, because we've, being Twins fans, we've seen that plenty of times with Paul Molitor and Ron Gardenhire. It's like, why are you bringing those guys in? Those sorts of decisions you can question, but at the end of the day, managers manage and players play, and the players should be held to a higher standard and a higher level of responsibility for the way that they've underachieved this year.
My big thing at the beginning of the year with Washington was stay healthy. And a lot of their main guys are staying healthy, but Jason Worth, paying him a lot of money, hasn't been healthy. Denard Spans missed his fair share of games. Strasburg always out. He's back and he seems good, but you never know when he's going to go down again. So they've had a lot of guys miss a lot of games, a lot of important guys. Anthony Rendon, second baseman, he's missed large majorities of the season. So not looking too good for Washington right now. Look at that wild card.
Do you think, though, it is for them a mental issue? Like they just thought, I know we had mentioned this a little bit last week. Do you think it is truly something where they thought it was just going to be so easy that they'd run through the rest of the division, and now that they're facing this adversity, they don't really truly know how to handle it?
Well, I think last week we talked, 2 of the last 3 years, they won the most games in baseball. And, you look at that division, it's not very good. And, if this was a normal year, you wouldn't expect the Mets to be over 500, but they are. And if it wasn't for the Mets, we wouldn't have any teams over 500 in this goddamn division. So you got the Marlins and the Phillies. Phillies briefly overtook Miami. Miami had the worst record in the league. Now the Phillies do yet again by a game and a half. But, probably the worst division in baseball right there. Your National League East. 2 worst teams in baseball, you can make the case, Phillies and Marlins, and the most disappointing team in the Nationals. So, I don't know if they just, sometime we'll turn on the switch here. You better turn it on quick because 9.5 in that wild card, that ain't going to happen because Pittsburgh's running away with it. Mets, they got swept by Pittsburgh, so that tells you how good Pittsburgh is because the Mets were beating the hell out of everybody here in the last week. So a lot of spots up for grabs. Would you make the case 3 best teams in baseball could be all in the same division there?
Yes.
Cardinals, Pirates, Cubs, all nearly 20 games over 500.
Yeah, the Blue Jays, the Cubs, and the Mets were on torrid paces earlier this week. Now, of course, the Mets have cooled down a little bit. Sale, your Cy Young winner for the White Sox, shut down the Cubs today.
That's right.
But you're seeing all this talent. I think the Cubs are a year ahead of schedule in terms of making the playoffs. I think a lot of people thought they would be competitive this year and fight for a wild card spot, but to really be in that driver spot now for that 5th and final wild card, that's something really big that I don't think a lot of people saw coming. They were looking at the Marlins or the Padres. At least those are the teams I was looking at as getting in there, and maybe Chicago would be a year away. Pittsburgh, not a huge surprise, and of course, there's no better run team in Major League Baseball or maybe professional sports for that matter than the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah, I thought the Cubs, I didn't think they'd be good this year for sure, but they are going on a very good run. Charlie picked them in the pick'em this week, and that was a good week to have them because they did really good this week. They only lost one game. Cubs, Pirates, right now would be your wild card game. The thing that sucks about the wild card is that the Cardinals are going to probably play the Pirates, and you might have your two best teams in all of baseball play that first round. So that kind of sucks right there. Would you like to see maybe if the wild card has a better record than somebody in the division, the wild card doesn't play the best team? Something where whoever has the best record in baseball plays the team with the worst record in the playoffs first round.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad idea, a bad switch. I do think that this is sometimes an anomaly, though, and then we look to make a change that maybe is a little too drastic. I think if this would happen back-to-back years or three times in a 4-year span, 3 times in a 5-year span, that maybe there would be something up for discussion there. But this seems just like one year where the NL Central is clearly the best, and there's no division that can even come close to it.
Nobody picked the Cubs at the beginning of the year. You picked the Pirates for the wild card.
Yep.
Drew and Charlie picked them to win the division at the beginning of the year. So 3 people did pick the Pirates to make the playoffs. Toronto Blue Jays avoided getting their 11-game winning streak, just can never win more than 11 in a row. Toronto now on the come. You're on the come team of the week. Yankees, though, giving them a fight. I mean, Toronto, you consider Toronto, apparently earlier this week, I don't know what the odds are now, but earlier this week, Toronto was the favorite betting-wise to win the World Series.
4-1. They are the hottest thing in Vegas right now.
So that's how far they've come. You still like them go to win that division?
Well, last week I had said that I thought the winner of this series, or whoever was leading the AL East after the Blue Jays and Yankees got done playing this weekend, would go on to win the AL East. The Yankees do hold a half-game lead. I think if they had swept the Blue Jays this week and we're up 2.5, that I would lean towards keeping the Yankees in there. But with it just being a half game of separation with how well Toronto's playing right now, I think I'm still going to pick them to win it. But
American League West, yeah,
I'm going to take the Yankees for a wild card, and I really think that the Orioles have a good chance too, because clearly the Angels and the Astros don't seem to want to be claiming a playoff spot here. Each one continues to lose and lose, and no one wants that no one wants that division title. So I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that they'll get 2 teams out of the AL West. I think you could see 3 teams in the East.
Whoa, so nobody. So my Astros are 4 up on Texas. They're about 2.5 up on the Angels. The Angels have been sucking. Houston's been sucking. Texas on a bit of a run. If you're at 500 now, you're doing pretty good.
Yep, and the Twins aren't out of this either. But I think you're really looking at a possibility where you have the Orioles, the Yankees, and the Blue Jays make it out of the East.
That'd be a hell of a deal. That would be a hell of a deal. Some important series this week. Again, the Giants have 2 pretty good series. They're 3.5 games back. The Cubs for the last playoff spot. Also, still in the division race. They would be 2.5 back of the Dodgers. So they're very much in the division race as well. They play the Pirates next weekend. And before that, they play the Cardinals. So the Giants, that's going to be a tough road to hoe. You've got Mets and Orioles interleague matchup. That's pretty good. Orioles playing really well right now. White Sox, Angels leading that second wild card spot. And the White Sox right now are 4.5 back, pending tonight's Angels-Royals game. So they could be 4 back of that. They're, in the mix there. Twins, if Kansas City takes care of business, Twins would be 1 game back. Somehow everybody piling the dirt on the grave of the Twins. Well, they're one game out here.
I picked them this week in the pick'em. It was a good week for that.
Not a bad week. 4-2 week in the pick'em. You also got Dodgers and Astros. Also next weekend, Blue Jays Angels. So we also got Blue Jays Phillies. Hopefully they beat the hell out of the Phillies. So some pretty good matchups this week in baseball. Anything else trip your trigger? Had a couple good pitching performances today. Bumgarner hit a home run. I think he had 14 strikeouts. Shutout versus Washington. Chris Sale, as you mentioned, he had 15 strikeouts. Not even a complete game, but he had 15 strikeouts. Red Sox Mariners scored 60-some runs in 3 games over the weekend. Red Sox 22 runs, another 8+ runs today. Had 15 runs the night before. They're still 52-run differential on the year, so that didn't help that at all.
No. I saw that 26 or 22-10 score yesterday, and I said to a couple people, I said, if I told you a final score was 22-10, would you guess football or baseball? And they said football, which would have been a very good guess. Nope, it was Seattle and Boston yesterday. Seattle was down 19-2 at one point.
Yeah, Baltimore and Oakland. Baltimore and Oakland today was 18-2.
Yeah, I mean, this is just ungodly terrible. And the funny thing is, Oakland gives up loses by 16 today. They still have a plus minus differential of a +5.
One of the great stories, my World Series pick, Oakland may finish with 90 losses, but may have score more runs than they gave up.
Yeah, last in the AL West, and they still have a positive run differential of 5. That's amazing.
How does that may be?
I wonder what
updated the yes.
Just wondering what the statistics on that would be, like the odds of that.
I mean, they're at a historical level now as far as run differential and record-wise for having such a poor record and a run differential that good. Their record in one-run games historically bad. We're in like 30% of their one-run games. So definitely, I mean, they're a team that should have one of the better records in the league, but because all those close losses, I mean, not much you can do there. No. Do have the pick'em of sorts, has not been completely updated, but I'm somewhere around 6 games back. I made my run, not going to catch Marcus. I got within 4 games. That's as good as I got. David got within 1, couldn't overtake him. He's now 6-some back. Everybody else out of the running. So I think Marcus is good here. We got 6 weeks left. A couple guys made their run. I proclaimed him the winner long ago. He still claims, no, I have not won this thing yet. Well, we got 6 weeks to go, and you're at least 6 up.
Smart on his part, though. Don't take anything for granted until it absolutely happens.
We'll give it a try here. I'm taking the Yankees. He's taking the Yankees. David's taking the Yankees. That may or may not have something to do with 3 games versus the Twins this week. I'm pretty sure it does. Do the Twins win a game in New York today?
Yes, they tomorrow? Do. They win 1 game. I'm not going to say which one it is, but they do win 1 game.
One of them. Good.
But yeah, I'll probably take the Yankees too. I think I still have the Nationals and the Dodgers that I can pick from too in this pick 'em, and I haven't been very good at all this year doing it. But I think I still have a chance to run and get out of the cellar.
I've gone through this thing here, and I've picked my teams each week left. I've gone with the Yankees, Reds, Rockies, White Sox, Rangers, Dodgers, Indians. So tentatively, those are my teams left, and there are a handful. I don't think I'll pick the Marlins. I think I'll be the only one that picked the Phillies, and they got me a 3-0 week, and I was begging somebody, please pick the Phillies. And for that 3-week stretch post All-Star break, if anybody wanted to pick the Phillies, they would have gained a couple games of anybody there. So that was a missed opportunity. for about 3 weeks there, they were the best thing going, but not so much anymore. So, nominee for shitty hitter of the week. I got a guy, handful of guys. I think I'll pick Ramirez from the White Sox. Hitting 239, gets on base 26% of the time. That's not very good. And usually pretty good, decent hitter, at least a power hitter for a shortstop. Had a pretty good year last year, but not very good this year. And I think it's a contract year. So
that's the wrong time to have your shittiest performance of your career.
Yes.
Most times that's when we see the steroids bring out, the best, like the 50-plus home runs in a guy. Obviously, Mr. Ramirez is not doing that.
Those were the days, weren't they?
Get on the pads.
What happened? And for good pitcher of the week, any takers here? Any pitcher? That tricker. Duffy for the Twins. Tyler Duffy. Terrible first start. Had a no-hitter into the 6th inning yesterday for the Twins.
And
probably not the winner, but I got it.
He's more of a household name, I guess.
Is he?
Not like quite as big of a star, but I gotta go, and I'm just pulling it up right now here. So give me a second.
Is this a rookie? Is this a
No, he was someone that I think is underperformed this year, as well as the team. But he had a moment in the sun this week in pitching a no-hitter. So I'm going to nominate Hisashi Iwakuma.
Iwakuma. Let's see if he's on our list here.
He's 30. I mean, he is 34, but it was thought that maybe he would be a guy that they could rely on to back up with Felix Hernandez. I mean, that Seattle's got a great offense, but the pitching just hasn't been there, as evidenced by the fact that King Felix got rocked for 10 earned runs in Saturday's 22-10 loss to the Boston Red Sox. I mean, he was awful, so he hasn't pitched very good at all this year, at least not up to the standards we've normally seen, but thought maybe Iwakuma would be helping out, maybe Tejon Walker, someone like that. That we thought that maybe this pitching staff would do better, but hasn't yet so far. But Hisashi Iwakuma, I will give him as my nomination for good pitcher of the week with that no-hitter on Wednesday against Baltimore. Was it Wednesday or Thursday?
Those days.
Also
had a very good start versus the Twins. I think it was last Sunday, I believe, Saturday or Sunday last week versus the Twins. Almost had another. He almost had a shutout there. So, also a guy that honestly he's in the Cy Young. He's in the Cy Young race in the National League. Was very good last year. Didn't make the All-Star team, which was laughable. Would be Jake Arrieta for the Cubs. Came over for Baltimore, was a guy, and then was great last year for the Cubs. Maybe thought it was a one-year deal, but no, he's been great this year. 14 wins, 2.39 ERA, a WHIP just under 1, 163 strikeouts, 162 innings. By my math, that's 1 strikeout per inning. 4-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. If he's not in your top 5 in the Cy Young, you can go to hell. So those would be a couple of guys to look out for.
I mean, the National League definitely has way better, like, star pitchers, at least in my mind, than the AL does.
Yeah. We mentioned Scherzer, and he's kind of dropped out of the race as far as the Cy Young is concerned. Mm-hmm. And Greinke had another good start, gave up 1 run today, so I'm sure his ERA will skyrocket after giving up a run. But Mr. Kershaw making a late bid here. His advanced metrics, he has the best WAR on FanGraphs. His FIP is the best. All those other stats are the best. and he's having a hell of a year striking guys out. So do you have any favorite right now National League Cy Young? Because I think I would go with Kershaw to win another one.
I mean, Greinke, I think I would probably lean towards, but I still like Garrett Cole for Pittsburgh. He's been
very good, yes,
this year, and I wouldn't put it past any of the Mets pitchers to maybe make a late charge too if they can hold on and win this division. It's a toss-up between Greinke and Cole, but either one of those ones would be my pick, and I don't think you can go wrong with either of them.
Yeah, Jacob deGrom also very good.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, between Kershaw, yeah, Harvey, 2.61 ERA. I would say between Garrett Cole, Kershaw, Greinke, deGrom, that'd probably be your top 5 guys, 4 guys in some order there.
And I would take those guys over any American League pitcher, maybe other than Chris Sale or Felix Hernandez.
Yeah. Then the American League, David Price may make a little bit of a run here, see what he can do with Toronto if they make the playoffs. Scott Kazmir with Houston, my guy Dallas Keuchel with Houston, and Sonny Gray with Oakland. Probably your 5 guys you're picking from. Chris Sale also 2. Seems like with the MVP race, you got to be on a winning team. Not so much with the pitching award. Is that a big deal? Your team record when you're a pitcher? Because we've seen
because you're only pitching 1 out of every 5 days.
Yeah.
You're not. I mean, if you make an immediate impact on the days that you pitch, for the most part, you should win that award. It's the guys who are playing every day that really impact every game. No, I think record-wise, it shouldn't matter for pitchers. If you've been dominant all year long, it shouldn't matter if you are first in the division or dead last in baseball. You should win that award.
I would say the Mets thinking of going to a 6-man rotation. They got Steven Matz coming back. He had a few games earlier this year's Major League debut. Very, very good. So
Isn't he the guy that hit 6? He got 3 RBIs or something in his one of his very first start or something.
Yeah, he was the guy that had a whole bunch of hits and drove in all the runs almost his first start. So we got him coming back. You got Fat Bartolo, who's not very good. He's their worst pitcher. Jonathan Neese gets overlooked because he's not a young guy that throws 100 miles per hour. Then you got deGrom, Harvey, and Syndergaard. So you got 6 guys there, and they may go with the 6-man rotation. I've long lobbied for the 6-man rotation.
Yeah.
Of course, innings limits on Harvey coming back from the Cy Young, or from the Tommy John, which I understand it, but I still think it's ridiculous. They may skip him a start or give him an extra day here or there because playoffs might be likely for the Mets. Your feelings specifically when it comes to the Mets and a 6-man pitching staff, yes or no?
Well, I guess I'll say yes to that. I don't think they're as open for that, though, as you and I would think they should be. Fat Bartolo, as you like to reference. I think he would be that flex guy. If you need to throw him in for a possible start, do that. But they have such great young pitching there. And I do think, in a way, it's not as good to go 6-man rotation because it does throw off the rhythm and timing a little bit for these guys. You expect to pitch every 5 days or so. And then you throw in a 6th day in there. Something could happen. I don't know what, but I think it could balance, it could destroy the rhythm that they would normally have on a 5-day.
And if you're watching a Twins game and sinker baller Kyle Gibson is on more than 4 days rest, Jesus Christ, you'll never hear the end of it. He's he can't get the sink on. You gotta be tired if you're a sinker baller. He's too pumped up. He's too well rested. That's why the ball doesn't sink when he gets shelled for 6 runs in 5 innings. Whenever he has more than 4 days rest. So
here's my question: Who's the bigger pitcher, CC Sabathia or Bartolo Colon?
CC's got the size as far as the height, but you just go. So he can spread it out a little bit.
Bartolo's got the beer gut going.
he does not look like an athlete. Like you look at CC, like okay, this guy could be like a lineman of some sorts. But I would say Bartolo Colon definitely high on the diabetic list.
Because he's got that beer gut. He's been too many Dos Equis after and Corona Lights after he's done pitching.
Got about a dozen Dos Equis. That would make it 24 Dos Equis. Not very good. Pasty white, a very, very, very pale man for someone of the Hispanic persuasion.
And CeCe's lost some weight, though, too. So he's not as big as he used to be.
He lost some weight. He lost his ability to be a good pitcher. He lost his ability to throw the ball fast. So he's no good no more.
No.
And speaking of the Blue Jays, I mean, it's very easy to look at that offense and say that'll get you hard, scoring 10 runs a game. All the guys batting Tulowitzki leadoff, and all the guys they got there. But may I say the pitching staff, which I always have questions about the pitching staff. Blue Jays over the last 2 weeks have the best ERA in all of baseball.
Yep.
And over the past month, they are right behind the Cardinals, very close behind the Cardinals. And they are a half run better than the great pitching staff of the Mets and Astros. So if I would want to pinpoint the turnaround for the Blue Jays, it would be that their pitching staff and bullpen has not been shit like it used to be.
Well, I wonder if, just when they traded for Troy Tulowitzki, too, you just wonder if that re-energized the entire team and got to, I mean, granted, it shouldn't make any difference whatsoever, the fact that Tulo's in Toronto now to the pitching staff. They should pitch good regardless, or at least go out there every time and put forth an effort. Something's gotten into that water, though, in Toronto, and I guarantee you it's not the water down there in Rio.
Thank God it's not yellow or brown. It's blue. Nice, clear water.
Or that river in Colorado that got all the shit in it.
You dump in a few 100 million gallons of crap, and it turns all shit. So we got Amin on the Water Watch, wastewater treatment plant dude. And it also helps. I mean, they score a lot of runs, Toronto does, and it does help a pitching staff when you got a 3-0 lead or a 5-0 lead right away. That doesn't hurt either.
No, not at all. Pirates almost blew that, though, this past Wednesday night against St. Louis. It was 7-5, and St. Louis had Pittsburgh scored 7 in the top of the first, and then it was 7-5, and I think St. Louis had a chance to tie the game there in the 6th or 7th inning, and Pittsburgh ended up winning 10-5.
Very salty, very close, closer than you would like. And you would think.
By the way, Hisashi Iwakuma, 4-2 this year with a 3.86 ERA. So obviously he has either not been pitching or he must have been injured or something.
He missed about a good 2-3 months. He missed a bunch. First couple starts were terrible because he was hurt. Came back. He's been doing a lot better ever since he returned to the lineup, I would say. So with the Blue Jays pitching staff a lot better. With them and the Yankees the past 2 weeks, watching the 2 games this weekend, Friday and Saturday, I don't think there's a whole lot separating those 2 teams. Those are pretty evenly matched teams right there. And you had low-scoring affairs this weekend and last weekend. You'd maybe assume Yankees, Toronto score some runs. Runs were really not scored this weekend or last.
I'm waiting for a 10-9, 10-8 game to break out between these guys. I think we'll see it here before the season's done.
Houston, Toronto could put up about a half dozen home runs in a game. And that could be fun to watch. Or you get Keuchel and Price going, and it could be a 2-1 game. So either way.
I agree with that. I do want to mention, too, Kansas City this week has been a little I don't know if it's a sign of things to come, but their bullpen did blow leads in back teams. So maybe they're having some tired arms there because their starting pitching staff can't go deep into games. I think that does bear watching too. At some point the rest of the season, if Kansas City can't get some much needed innings eaten from their starting pitching staff and kind of rest the bullpen, because that'll hurt them come playoff time.
First time in like 100, literally like 101 games where they lost a eighth, ninth inning lead.
Yep, they were 120. They were 127-3 when leading after 7 innings the past 2 years, and 2 of those losses came back-to-back games this weekend. Or this week.
Wade Davis a couple weeks ago gave up his first home run in like 2 years. So yeah, I mean that's the strength of their team, that bullpen. So a chink in the armor to show that it can be done. Just a matter of if you can get it done in the playoffs or not. And
their offense seems to be better this year than it was last year.
I do have to say though, Mike Moustakas was an all-star. Certain all-stars you look back at years from now and say, well, that guy was terrible. But he had a good 3 months. Mike Moustakas had maybe a good 2 months, but he was awful after that, and he's been awful ever since. He sucks. And people are like, well, he finally turned it around. It took him 5 years, 1,000 at-bats, 2,000 at-bats. He finally turned it around. Well, he's turned back to what he used to be, and he was shit. So it seems like those good 2 months this year where he was good was the aberration. And he's just his normal shitty self. So,
well, who was the guy that they had, Alex Gordon or something, that everyone thought would be the next big star of baseball? Or is Alex Gordon with Chicago?
Alex Gordon, he was at third base, moving to left field. Offensively, I mean, he's fine. Free agent, he'll opt out this winter, get a big contract. The big thing that everybody's hard with him about is his defense. They think his defense is great. So I'm sure he'll get a $100 million contract, even though his offense not spectacular. An all-star, people like his defense. So
give me Lorenzo Cain and Eric Hosmer any day over Mr. Gordon.
That's there we go. And also an interesting trade. Toronto, I give Toronto a lot of shit, and they felt it necessary to trade for a 38-year-old R.A. Dickey coming off the Cy Young. And the Mets, I think, were wise to trade the 38-year-old knuckleballer off of his best season to Toronto. And basically, the trade boiled down to R.A. Dickey to Toronto. The Mets got Travis d'Arnaud, starting catcher prospects. Got to get hitting here, but people expect him to hit. They also got this guy called Noah Syndergaard, one of the guys we mentioned. Yeah, so would you like to have Syndergaard for the next 10, 12 years or another year of Dickey throwing up the cheese?
Oh, come on. Give me. It's got to be Dickey. It's not even a question. No, it's Noah Syndergaard. I think the biggest name that the Toronto Blue Jays traded for this year, though, is got to be LaTroy Hopkins.
Huge name.
I mean, my God.
Huge name. So we got Tulowitzki and Hawkins and Ben Revere and David Price. Price, we'll see where he goes in the offseason. So Tulowitzki, he'll be there for a while. And,
it sounds like the Yankees for Price.
Probably. I was interested in that Tulowitzki move because they obviously needed the pitching. They finally got the pitching. But between Batista and Encarnacion, they may not be there after next year. So they got maybe a guy in Tulowitzki to replace one or both of those guys. So in that aspect, I like the trade even more now. Even though he has struggled hitting around 230 as of a couple days ago since he came up. Had a really good first, second game, hit a home run, double, had a bunch of RBIs. Since then hasn't done much. Defense, probably an improvement over Jose Reyes. But, yeah.
Had they not made that trade for David Price, though, I think a lot of people around the baseball world would be looking at that Troy Tulowitzki trade and saying, wait, why the hell did they do that when they could have upgraded their pitching staff? At least they went out there and said, we're going to go for it all.
And they did give up. They did give up apparently quite a bit. We'll see if any of these pitchers that Detroit got materializes for them. So, again, maybe try to look back at it in a couple of years and say, well, maybe keep that guy instead of going for it all here. So,
but it's to end the longest postseason drought, and not only in baseball but in professional sports.
Out of everybody, we've never seen it. So I would like to see a playoff game. And again, 3 sellouts for the Yankee series. A pet peeve of mine is similar to the Saints. All of a sudden, a team that all of a sudden gets good. Oh, their crowd, amazing crowd, great fans. No, not so much.
The Saints have had loyal backing for a long time here, though. Let's maybe not lump the Saints into this one. I'd maybe lump like Falcons or something in there.
The NFL, Atlanta sports in general. I mean, when you put the bags on your heads back in the 80s and the 90s with the Saints, and then
that's a sign of embarrassment. That's all that they had, though, down in New Orleans.
And they're awful.
You waited every Sunday for Saints games.
Yeah. So Toronto now selling the joint out like they used to do back in the 90s when they were good in the early 90s. And now they sell – yeah. They sell it out again, and they're loud. They're great fans. And again, Arrowhead Stadium, apparently the hardest place to play on planet Earth. You never want to play the Chiefs in Kansas City since the Chiefs have been good. They're that team that they're good like once every 5 years. They'll go like 13-3, and they'll lose. Speaking of teams that suck in the playoffs, they'll lose that first playoff game, and then they'll go like 8-8 the next 4 years.
I know how much you love power rankings.
Oh, Jesus. Great. I think they're very useful in all sports, especially those that have playoffs. I think they're very useful in that. Yes.
Apparently, there's one site out there, I can't remember if it's CBS or ESPN or NFL maybe, .com, that they have the Chiefs as the 10th best team in the National Football League.
Number 10.
And yeah, I didn't think they were that great in terms of being warranted as the 10th best. I know you get Eric Berry back on defense this year after everything seems to be going good with his cancer. It's in remission and everything. They get Jeremy Maclin, upgrade that wide receiver position. You have Travis Kelce, good tight end. Jamal Charles, a fantastic running back. It's a solid defense. I just don't know if it's top 10 NFL worthy.
You know why?
Because they aren't.
They're not. They're not one of the top. Hell, you could maybe make the case they're not one of the top 10 teams in the AFC. You got Denver and San Diego, and that division would be better.
Yep. And Oakland's going to be good, too, this year.
I mean, you got Christian Ponder as a third stringer, so that's going to work out well.
And that means Samantha.
That's right. San Diego and Denver are better. Baltimore and Pittsburgh and Cincinnati are better, so that's 5. New England's better. I'll say the Colts are better. So that's 7 teams right there without blinking an eye. So at best, Kansas City's 8. And if you want to make the case for your Bills, go right ahead. If you want to make the case for Charlie's Dolphins, go right ahead right there. That's 9, 10 teams. Go to hell, whoever said that. Go to hell. Kansas City, 10th best team. Christ, are they even the 10th best team in their own conference?
Are they the 10th best team in the AFC West?
They're the 10th best team in that state. Unlikely. No. Just pulling up the deal here.
Here pretty soon.
Awful. Move them. Looking at this Kansas City home record, apparently 2010 must have been one of their good years because they were undefeated at home that year, or they were 7-0, lost to Oakland in a meaningless game week 17. So I'll even give you the 7 wins in a row in the 2010 season. You go 2010 to last year. That's a 5-season sample. Chiefs record at home. They played 41 games. How many did they win?
There was one year that they went 2-14, if I'm not mistaken, because that's when they got the number 1 overall pick. So obviously they didn't do very good there. I would say, how many home games?
41. This great home field advantage for the Kansas City Chiefs.
22-19.
That would be exactly correct.
Holy. Didn't look either. Swear to God.
That was very good. So you take that two win year, you take that 3-loss year, you come up with basically a 500 record. Let's take a gander at this. You go back, let's say you go back 10 years. Go back to 2005, get a bit bigger sample here. 39-42. Home field advantage, Kansas City. I don't know what it is. The crowd's loud. Good for you. I don't give 2 shits about your crowd. Dumb.
Just because it's loud and it's a difficult place to play doesn't mean it's impossible to win.
They beat New England there last year. Congratulations. You went, what'd you go last year? You went 6-2 at home last year. You lost to
They lost to Tennessee.
Tennessee squad, first game of the year. Congratulations. Congratulations. You beat the Super Bowl champs, and you lost to the worst team in the league. Good for you. So, home field advantage for Kansas City. Unbelievable.
Eat shit.
Good. Glad you said it. Anything else before we get to a preview of next week's episode, which I'm very excited about?
Because it's the start of the college football preview show, I imagine, correct?
Yes.
All right. A couple things here. First, we'll go NFL. Interesting to note, the AFC East and the NFC West, all teams in those divisions are winless in the preseason. So everyone should panic right now. Up in Seattle and in Boston, the NFC North, the NFC North is the only, and the AFC West, only undefeated divisions. The Vikings, of course, are 2-0. Very sad to hear that Phil Lodeholt will be out for the entire season, even though he does get his does get his fair share of holding penalties. That's still a big loss for the Vikings along that line. So we'll see how that'll hurt Teddy Bridgewater and Adrian Peterson back there, but good win against Tampa Bay. I really like what I'm seeing from Teddy Bridgewater. Cordero caught a touchdown last night, so hopefully he can get his poop in a group. I love Mike Zimmer going on a rant Thursday that just railing the Vikings for their terrible practice. Good. That's what you need to do to get your team better. I thought they responded well to that. Deflategate. Hopefully that'll end sometime in the next millennium, but no guarantees on that. So yeah, the Vikings 6-0 in the preseason under head coach Mike Zimmer, so that's great for them. Let's translate that over to the regular season. And the NBA schedule came out on Wednesday night.
Yes, it did. Did you predict it? I know you like to predict the schedules.
I did not get this one done. I was very impressed, though, to see that the Timberwolves, who had the worst record in the NBA, have, 4 national televised games, 4 or 5, 1 on TNT and 4 on ESPN. That says a lot to the young talent on this squad, and I think people are excited for the future of this team, which is something that hasn't been said since KG left and was traded, 8 years ago now?
20 moons ago, 2007, 2008.
Yep, the Detroit, Denver, and Philadelphia, only teams without a national televised game this year.
As it should be.
Well said.
But the Lakers, don't really want to see the Lakers all that many times, but they're on the TV again. So, them and the Knicks.
Hey, the Knicks actually lost over half of their nationally televised games from last year. I think they're down to 7 or something this year, which is still 5 times too many 7 times, because I won't be watching any of that garbage. But Lakers and Timberwolves, I think that's the game on ESPN. That's the opener, so that's good for them.
The Cleveland and the Golden State have the most games. I think Chicago up there too. They got a bunch of games. Christmas Day slate, your rematch, Golden State and Cleveland. Also got Bulls Thunder. That should be pretty good. Team that always gets hurt in the West. Rockets Spurs. Spurs can beat the hell out of them. And Lakers Clippers. Pelicans Heat.
The Pelicans have a lot of nationally televised games this year. It must be because of the unibrow.
I don't know if I remember one from last year. I don't know if they had one.
Oh, they had at least one. They've been on ESPN and TNT. And you know where they played their games at? Smoothie King Arena.
It's in New Orleans. Now, you know how we love the smoothies.
We do.
We hate the city. We hate the city of New Orleans and the state of Louisiana, as we do the majority of the Southeast. But smoothies are good. So I have a hard time figuring that out. I think
that should be the official arena of the Sports Lounge.
I don't know about that. It's a bit to put that to a vote. You get enough signatures. You get 10 signatures on a piece of paper. We'll put that on the 2016 ballot. Sports Lounge ballot.
I'll just get Donald Trump on it. See what we can do.
Good. One of your guys. Iowa State Fair, you attended. What did you think?
It was just a lot of corn-infested butter sculpting nonsense. That's what it was. It was hot. I didn't enjoy myself all that much. The folks in Iowa they're great people. The state fair is delightful for the most part, but it was hot, and I just did not enjoy the smelly animals and all the amenities there. Give me the Minnesota get together.
The great one coming up at the end of the month. Very good.
That's right.
I do want to mention we're having a 2-week college football preview. Next week being the first of those 2 weeks. I propose we preview the Big Ten, the Pac-12, and the ACC next week. And then in 2 weeks, we do the SEC, the Big 12, and the other conference, and make our final picks, Heisman, playoff, bowl picks in 2 weeks.
I'm fine with that. I'm a fan. I have actually been getting together a list, because I'll be working on my preview blog here coming up in a couple of weeks. So I have listed here. I've been looking through the games. I'm not picking every game, but the ones that are the most important in my mind, or ones that I think will have the greatest impact. And I've picked for the Big Ten and the SEC right now. And I actually have more spotlight games out of the Big Ten.
Really?
Than I do the SEC. One I might take out because I did throw TCU and Minnesota as one of the key games to watch.
It is a game.
It is a game, yeah.
To give them a short taste of what could be to come here in a couple of weeks. I look at the SEC this year. Auburn and Alabama seem to be the two top teams. Other than that, there seems to be a bit of a drop-off. You got Georgia out west, LSU in the conversation, the Mississippi school. That was a nice little joke. You can go back to finishing 5th and 6th in the conference. Arkansas lost a lot of close games. I like Arkansas as a team on the come. And It seems like Missouri always wins that half there in the West.
But they're in the East.
They're in the East. A down year for the SEC, even though they have 2 national title contenders?
I think so. I think you would, at max, you only see one team make it out of the SEC this year into the playoff, and there's a chance you might not get any in there. I believe that the surprise team, though, is up in Knoxville. I think it's the University of Tennessee that's going to turn a lot of heads this year. I'll give them a significant shot to win the East against Georgia. It's going to be one of those 2 teams. But I really think that Tennessee is a team that a lot of people should watch out for this year.
Florida, new coach again.
They'll be better this year. They're not going to compete for a division title. And don't talk about the old ball coach. He ain't doing anything.
Hey, old ball coach. And you got Will Muschamp coming in to fix that god-awful Auburn defense.
And I think Auburn's the favorite out of this one. I can't remember a year, unless maybe I just have short-term memory, but there seems to be a lot of quarterback questions for the top teams in the SEC. Alabama's got some questions. LSU's got what's that?
With Jeremy Johnson,
Auburn doesn't have any, but I guess maybe it's not the SEC. Maybe I'm thinking more in general, but I think that it's going to be difficult for LSU or Alabama to make a significant run when they're having some issues at the quarterback position and not having one clear-cut guy.
It always, like I said before, it always amazes me. Teams like LSU and Alabama can never find a quarterback. That's amazing to me. If I was a quarterback, why would you not want to go there? Defense, running game, offensive line, easy as shit to win 12 games a year if you're a good quarterback.
Right.
Listen, I look at that Auburn schedule. I haven't really looked at the schedules a whole lot. Got to do that this week. I thought their schedule was tougher than it was, but they really only have 4 true road games, and at LSU is probably their toughest. Got Alabama at home,
Yep.
Georgia at home. Louisville, got to beat them first game. I think that's probably in the Georgia Dome. But Auburn's schedule, I think Auburn might be a team that I might be. Right now, tentatively, I have my national championship picked.
And you would go Auburn as that national championship?
Right now, they probably are one of my teams against another team. Yes.
Okay. They would be – they're my team out of the SEC that I have winning. I don't know if I'm putting them in a playoff game right now. But, yeah, certainly the game against Louisville, that's going to be tough. They do get Georgia at home. Arkansas, that's going to be an interesting test for them. LSU and Arkansas, definitely. I think they beat Alabama at home this year. I don't even think that's a question in my mind. I know Alabama's got a great defense, but I'm just not sold on them doing a whole lot this year. I mean, they'll still be one of the best teams in the country, but I think it's Auburn and Arkansas's battle in the West this year, which sucks because I love my Bayou Bengals, but LSU's just not doing it this year.
Last year, I had 2 teams, South Carolina being one, that I got to do something, maybe win that side of the conference. They did not. And Navy was a team, a dark chocolate horse, where I was like, well, their schedule's not very good. Win 9-10 games. And they did not do that at all. Right now, again, I have a team penciled in. If you want to guess, that's fine. A team penciled in that I like as a dark horse. I don't know if I want to say a playoff team. I don't know if I want to say a conference winner, but a team I did pretty good last year, and a team that I kind of like a lot this year.
Northern Illinois?
Not quite. Is
it East Carolina?
BCS team. BCS team. Nope. I have one. I'll say this. I have one major conference team that I'll put as this year's South Carolina, and I have one not major conference team that I like to be my Navy, or maybe one of those teams, those non-Power 5 teams. I get a bold bid.
And you aren't going to tell me.
We
have to do.
Well, if you guess, that's fine. If not, whatever. But,
no, I don't have a guess. I'm kind of drinking the orange Kool-Aid and the purple Kool-Aid here with Clemson. I think this is that your team?
I mean, they're always there. It's pretty assumed they're always there, but that would not be my team. Again, I look at this team from the major conference, only 4 road games, all winnable. I'd say they're
Louisville.
2 to 3. No, their 2 to 3 toughest games are at home. I like this team a little bit. So.
Yeah, I agree. And you know me, I'm gonna ride the Hokie pride here and the Hokie train. We're gonna take them to play Clemson in the ACC championship game.
Something different. Get Florida State out of there.
I don't think
Florida State has not lost.
They have quarterback.
Not lost the conference game. Well, they got Everett Golson.
Questions too. He's a turnover machine. He turns the ball over way too much.
I'm interested to see who they finally lose to in conference. If it's just 1 loss, 2 losses, who they finally give it up to.
I don't know. I'm telling you though right now that I think like you, I have my playoff teams ready and set in stone. There's one team in the Pac-12 that I'm considering. There's a couple in the Big 12 that I think could eventually make it. There's a couple in the Big 10. There's one in the SEC and then one in the ACC. Yes, Yes.
There's a couple in the Big Ten, you say. There's a couple teams. Are they going to get more over under? 2.5 wins for the squad this year, boys. Over under.
Conference or overall?
Honestly, if you're playing a shit team, I'm not like the shit out of conference schedule Baylor plays every year. I'm not counting those wins. You want to play horse shit teams? You want to play McNeese State? You want to play Cal Poly? I'm not counting it. I'm assuming that's a bye week for you. I'm not counting it in your final record.
Well, now you know that the Big Ten is kind of looking at getting away with the FCS games and try and play someone from a Power 5 conference every year.
I'll believe that when they see it.
It's really hard to turn down some very good easy wins. As well as these carrots. It's hard to turn down these carrots.
Boy, stealing tracks or don't show tracks or those carrots. They'll go nuts. Is there much of a difference? We can get into this in a couple weeks or next week since we're talking about the Big Ten. Is there much of a difference between scheduling your FCS opponents versus your shit teams from the MAC, your shit teams from the Sun Belt? Is it that much of a difference?
I wouldn't think so. I mean, the SEC
financially maybe, but on the field, yeah.
There are a handful of teams in the MAC that you would give high consideration towards possibly being you, like in Northern Illinois.
Toledo.
Yeah, Toledo. So someone like that. I'd really put more just Northern Illinois on that. But and then the FBS, you have maybe North Dakota State, as evidenced by the fact that they've beaten teams like Iowa State and Kansas State in recent years. So I'd put them and really, I would say hardly anyone else out of the FCS. And then, the Sun Belt. Ooh, I mean, I'm real scared by Idaho and South Alabama. And then
there's a team. There's my hint. My dark horse is from the Sun Belt.
I gotta think it's Georgia State. We all.
Nope.
No. Troy. Is it Troy?
Nope.
Should I just guess every team from the Sun Belt here?
Yes.
All right. Okay. So the Sun Belt here, maybe Georgia Southern or Appalachian State.
Would be the team. Coming up from FCS, I think they went undefeated or lost one game last year. They got Georgia late in the year. That's tough. They got a tough game early in the year that they're probably going to lose at West Virginia to open things up. So 2 tough games. They're winnable option, funky stuff. West Virginia, they can win. Georgia, that's tough. But a team that I would really like to see get a New Year's Day bowl game. Just for the oddity of a Georgia Southern game versus whoever the hell.
I can go with that.
Good.
Hell, they were first in the football last year in rushing, 381 yards a game. So that's one way to keep the opposing offense off the field.
And I think they should easily win that conference. So.
All right, I can see that.
Get a bowl game. I'd like to see it. First ever bowl game for Gaia Southern.
Let's do it.
So next week, maybe 11 a.m. noon show. We'll see how the schedules fall out. Try to get as many people on here as we can. Right now, looking at the Big Ten, the Pac-12, ACC next week. So bring your picks with you there. We'll do that next week. So football, sir, and I think as far as I'm concerned, NFL not big on that. College football, I'm big on that right now. So.
Yes, I'm very excited for that. We will have to do an NFL preview show, though, at some point.
Yeah, it's looking like right now.
Could be over Labor Day weekend, which would not be a great weekend for me because I would not be there.
That would be a show Labor Day weekend. It might be an audio-only show. So we'll have to see what happens there football-wise.
You knew that. Also, we do have some news on the previous sports block. on.
Do it. I never heard this.
So we're thinking here, at least going to start out by just doing a podcast version, but do a couple of podcasts a week.
Okay.
Specific to the sport in general. So during the football season, we have one specific to college football, one specific to NFL, and maybe throw another third one in there with just the other top headlines kind of going on in the various sports. What?
Never too early for a Winter Olympics preview.
Yes, but Summer Olympics first, because we have to talk about the water.
Damn it.
Rio. So that's what we're kind of thinking about that right now. So be a couple of shorter ones. It won't be like a 2-hour. Want to be like half hour for each one. We'll get a bunch of different guests on. Of course, you'll be on it. So don't know of an official schedule yet, but that's kind of the thought process going into it. We'll come up with a different name too. It won't be the sports.
Oh, really? Different
so
names. Look at this.
I'm open to suggestions.
The Hard Hat Brigade or something like that.
Sure, that's definitely a possibility, but let's keep thinking.
The Fargo Forum. I don't believe that name has been taken. You can call it the Fargo Forum.
Yes,
I believe that name's out there. I don't think that's been used yet.
Possibly.
Could be. I mean, we got a lot of names here. Got a lot of possibilities.
By the way, a quick shout out since we are talking Fargo here, and we did mention FCS. Congrats to Zach Zenner, South Dakota State alum. He looked pretty good against the Jets. Slipped one that time there. Could have gotten a little bit more than John Crockett from North Dakota. Caught a touchdown against the Patriots. So you're going to see. I think Zenner. It sounds like is going to get that last spot in Detroit if he keeps playing the way he has been.
No practice squad for him. He's making the main squad.
And I'm buying a jersey. Get me 34.
Don't get me one, please. I don't want it.
You don't want a Zenner jersey?
No. I will say this, breaking news on my end. Not that anybody watches this, so it doesn't matter. But SDSU men's basketball will play in Sioux Falls on December 27th against Middle Tennessee State.
Hey-oh, that's good.
So I assume that's at the Pentagon?
You would think so. Their schedule still hasn't come out yet.
The women's are out, so the men's not. So that's that one, though. Sources close to me tell me Middle Tennessee State in Sioux Falls on the 27th. Christmas. Go nuts.
There we go. Who does USD play at the Pentagon this year? Florida Gulf Coast, I think.
Longwood and Linwood. A doubleheader.
Whew. Can't wait for that one. Get your tickets now.
Get your tickets now. We'll be giving them away. You watch the 132nd Sports Lounge next week. We'll give you tickets to Longwood versus Linwood. Inside the Lounge, Big Ten, Pac-12, ACC, Clemson next week. There we go.